Good morning, I'm Brother Jason, and this is the Baptist Catechism. Today's question, number 54, asks us, what are we especially taught by these words, before me, in the first commandment? What did God mean by that? The words before me in the first commandment teach us that God, who sees all things, takes notice of and is much displeased with the sin of having any other God. Do we really think that God doesn't know exactly what's going on in our hearts and minds and in the secret places and when nobody else is watching? Do we really think that God doesn't see everything? If God is omnipotent and omnipresent and omniscient, if he knows all things, if he's all powerful, if he's everywhere at all times, do we really think that God just doesn't notice? God sees the hidden things. And so he says, before me, I don't want any other God. I don't want you to worship any other God before me. Not before me, not after me, not in conjunction with me. There should be no other gods that we worship except for the one true God. So let's take a look at what God told the children of Israel in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 17. He says, but if your hearts turn away and you will not obey, and are drawn away and worship other gods and serve them, I declare to you today that you surely shall perish. You will not prolong your days in the land where you are crossing the Jordan to enter it and to possess it. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today that I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. So choose life in order that you may live, you and your descendants. And God gave his people a choice when they entered the promised land. Would they serve him, or would they serve the gods of the Amorites and Canaanites that they would drive out? He gave them a choice. He says, but if you turn your heart away and you worship these other gods, then he told them, you will not live in this land very long. Here's a reason why the children of Israel were put into exile, and it's because they chose to turn and worship other gods. History tells of this. It's in the Bible. It's all over the place in the Old Testament. God is not done dealing with his people by no means, but the reason that they were exiled from the land and driven out, even to the point where the Romans came and conquered them, was because they rejected their God. And God's serious about his word. God knew exactly what was going on in the hearts and minds of his people. Psalm 44, verse 20 tells us, if we had forgotten the name of our God or extended our hands to a strange God, would God not find this out? For he knows the secrets of the heart. If we're worshiping God and on the side we have a side God that we're worshiping, do you think God doesn't know? Do you think God doesn't find that out? If we extend our hands to a strange God to serve them, then does God not know that that's going on? Even when God was in the Garden of Eden after Adam sinned and he said, Adam, where are you? Adam was hiding, but God knew exactly where Adam was. God knows everything. There's nothing that's hidden from his sight. Would God not find this out? He knows the secrets of the heart. This should really make us stop for a second and think. God knows exactly what's going on in our hearts. God knows what's going on in our minds. He knows what we're struggling with. None of this is beyond his knowledge. He sees all of it. Psalm 90, verse 8. You have placed our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. This is one of the most crucial things that I think we need to grasp. Even if we do things in secret that nobody else sees, they are shown in the light, in the presence of God. God sees them as if it's broad daylight. And you might be hiding it from everybody else, but God sees it as if the light is shining brightly on our sin. We may think because it's being done at night or done in the darkness or being done with very few people knowing about it or nobody knowing about it, that it's hidden from everybody's view. Even the darkness is light toward God. God sees it all. He created the light. He created the dark. He created all of these things. So when we have this iniquity, we have this secret sin, it's in the light of the presence of God, and he sees it in the full daylight. Question 54. What are we especially taught by these words before me in the first commandment? These words before me in the first commandment teach us that God, who sees all things, takes notice of and is much displeased with the sin of having any other God.